Ever noticed how black can be quite difficult to get the correct shade and to make it look realistic? Well, check out this 3 stages, easy to follow way of achieving a realistic look. First, I'll start off with the outline, the underdrawing, the rich colour stage, stroke detail stage. Be sure to watch it right through till the end because here and there I'll be slowing things down in real time so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. Now the portrait will be created from this beautiful reference image from my nephew. It's his pet cat called Cookie. Please check out his Instagram for more great photographs. I'm just running through this outline pretty quick. I'm using a quarter grid, very fine lines to start with, doing it very loose, just finding those big shapes to start with and then the smaller shapes as you progress. Now it's always a little bit of a guesswork to start with, and then you just got to start somewhere, and then eventually you'll start comparing one shape against the other. And then I'm using the Faber-Castell needlebore eraser to sort of sculpture the marks as well. So put a line in, erase it, redraw it, and that's how I sort of sculpture the outline. And eventually it gets more and more sort of firmed up. So it starts off very loose, and then you start getting sharper, more detailed areas then. What I tend to do is keep the reference image as small as possible so I can see the whole image. This way I get the feel and energy of the subject rather than trying to focus too much on detail. Here's the selection of pencils that I'll be using for the underdrawing, just keeping it nice and straightforward, simple colours. Starting off then by ghosting the outline with a Faber-Castell needlebore eraser. I'm just putting the darkest areas in, the lightest areas in to start with. But this underdrawing is just a basic sort of feel. It's just to create the outline so everything's in the correct position. For the eyes there I've used lemon yellow, burnt sienna and olive green, which are complementary colour. The green and the red of the burnt sienna helps to create that subtlety. I'm just moving the shapes generally just to get the overall feel correct. Now at this stage I'm not interested in getting the value correct, the temperature or the chroma. It's just a matter of just getting the basic form in there and getting a feel for the actual subject. So it's a chance to be loose and to really enjoy the freedom of just moving these shapes around and not being too concerned about all the detail. So what I'm tending to do here is just using the black and white, keeping it nice and simple to get basic form. Less pressure where it's mid-tone, more pressure where it's darker or lighter if you're using the white. And just glazing over them with burnt sienna or blue or a Payne's grey, which I use, which is 770 in the Carbothello range, which is a really nice pencil. It's got like a purpley browny feel to it, which is ideal for this sort of tone here. So I'm just using those 3 sort of colours over the basic black and white form I'm putting in, so keeping it nice and simple. Now I try and keep a loose feel about this underdrawing. It gets more and more detailed as you progress. I mean, the rich colour and detail stage, especially at the end of the video, you'll see me putting very fine details in. But again, I'm putting my sort of slant on it really. It's not exactly the same as the reference image, it's not hyperrealism, it's just my interpretation. So the marks are not always the same, I'm just going with the feeling of it and I'm just putting my own little marks in here and there. There's incredible freedom about doing that as well, because when you try and focus on every little detail, it can become overwhelming. There's so much going off. What I tend to do to keep myself relaxed is to focus on the reference image, its energy, and bring that into my heart. So open your heart and send this open heart feeling to the reference image, no matter what you're drawing, and you'll feel the energy coming back tenfold, and that will flow through you, out of your hands, into your work. So rather than coming out to yourself, tunnel vision, trying to draw every little detail the same, if you just focus on your heart and go with the flow, you tend to find that the details take care of themselves, and eventually it starts to shape up and becomes what you're trying to achieve. Now the underdrawing for the background, just getting the basic shapes in there again, just using brown, burnt sienna, blue, yellow ochre, and a few greys, and then just using a cotton board just to actually smooth things over. Now for the rich colour stage, these are the Carbothello coloured pencils I'll be using, and these are the greys of the Carbothellos, Caran d'Ache green and the black, and Contier Paris blues. I'm going to continue with that background, but before I do that I need to get the density of the black in the fur right, the value, before I can judge what the background should be. So that's what I've done here. Just going over with a King's Blue, which I can make my own green with. It's a really nice blue, adding that lemon yellow with it, just to create a fresh and sort of vibrant colour. And what I'm using is 110, which is a grey white, to desaturate it, and other greys as well, which will give it that receded look and that distant look. So greys are really great for that. If you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. What I tend to do with the rich colour stage is to block it in to start with, so getting those values, temperature, chroma, something like closer to what I'm looking for before I start putting the details in, because the details we'll put in later on in this video, a lot of real time I'll be allocated for that as well. Just using different greys to get that sort of value right, and then what I'll do is glaze over that then once I've got all these little details in. But round the edge of this here I'm using like a pink, a warm pink, and then I'll glaze over with that with burnt sienna and with Payne's grey. Just like to take this opportunity to thank all my patrons for their wonderful support every month. I can't thank you enough, it means the world to me. If you're considering joining me on Patreon and would like the benefit of longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please check the link in the description below after you've watched the video. All the videos I put on Patreon now are all in real-time video, real-time audio, so you get a real flavour, step by step, on my procedure, my method. Just choose a grey that's similar colour. This is a warm grey, and then I can always change it up by glazing over the top. Just go to areas that your instincts are telling you to go, really. I mean, I don't just focus on one area. I'm always going in different areas. I'll start on one place, then maybe just go over to somewhere totally different. Just go with the flow, and it all gets done in the end. But what you see in here is just a blocking of the rich colour stage. All the details will be put in later on in this video, so it does look a little bit blocked in, but it will get subtler and subtler as I progress. I found the easiest way of doing these sort of little hairs is just find a grey which is a very similar sort of temperature. It's the glazing over that creates a realistic look. Just keeping it very simple, just putting these marks in and keep glazing over. So it's a mark, put mark in, glaze over, mark in, glaze over, until you get that sort of colour tone you want in value and chroma. Now how I'm using the pencil, I'm pushing and pulling the marks. So some areas I'll be pulling and then pushing, putting different pressure on. So more pressure where it's brighter, less where it's not so bright, and less where it's finer as well, so you get more of a finer mark. And then just dealing with the values, then just going over with the black again, just getting that sort of balance. What I generally do is to open my eyes wide to see the colours and then squint them to see the values. So I'm constantly doing that to get those subtle colour variations and subtleties. How I did the whiskers was I used a 110, which is a grey white, and very lightly, hardly putting any pressure at all on the pencil, just letting the pigment come off the pencil with the tooth of the pastel mat, and then just reshaping it with the colour shaper and subtling it up here and there. And then once I'm happy with the position of it, then I'll go over then with a Faber-Castell white and put that real definite brightness in there. So doing it light first makes it easy to correct. And then the other side, doing the same thing, just reshaping it with the black as well, just sort of putting the white down very lightly with the 110 and then reshaping, putting that density behind it. And then once I'm happy with the position, going through then with the Faber-Castell white, and some areas are brighter, some are not so bright, so just varying the pressure of the Faber-Castell, putting more pressure on where it's brighter, less where it's mid-tone. Here I'm using a mono zero, like a square type, to take the actual pigment away from that whisker, so you're actually chiseling away and taking it away back to the pastel mat itself. And once that's done, then you can just reshape it by using the 110 and then adding the black then to recreate that sort of shade behind it. So it's easy enough to change things around by using one of those mono zeros. Now some areas of the whiskers are different temperature, so I'm just putting a warm pink on that area there on the whisker and then glazing with a bit of burnt sienna on that one. So you just got to judge what sort of tone or temperature it is and just change it accordingly. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? It would mean so much to me, as this would help the channel to grow. Now this area I'm just being very loose, just adding that Payne's grey in there, burnt sienna, black, just mixing those together to get the correct sort of density. Adding a bit of blue to change it up, make it cooler in certain areas. Adding greys, there are different greys depending on whether it's warm or cold grey. And you just keep persevering really, and just keep putting an odd little mark here and there, keep standing back and having a look, and then keep changing it up, and eventually it all comes together. But you don't need a lot of detail, just a little bit here and there, and that's all you need. Now the overall fur is in, I can start to put the detail in the eyes now. So putting the real bright white in there using the Faber-Castell white, but I found it wasn't light enough really, so I used a Rembrandt stick, just a little bit of a Rembrandt stick, just to highlight it. And then what I could use then is the Faber-Castell just to move it around then once you've got that pigment on there. Now adding more olive green and burnt sienna to it, just to create more richness to the colour. And then once I'm happy with that, just tint it here and there just to change it up. So you tinting, you're glazing, you putting that lemon yellow in there as well to create more of a glow. So I'm adding lemon yellow just to create that sort of chroma. I'm using the warm pink there as well as the burnt sienna to create the warm areas of it. So you just got to pick pencils when they combine together to create the look you're looking for. Now with this section of real time here, I'm just showing you how I approach it. Little bits of marks here and there and just flowing with it. I'm just letting that movement happen. I bring that reference image into my heart and let them movements just flow through me. It's strange how it sounds, but when you connect to it, you'll know what I mean. And it's just creating that feeling rather than trying to create every little detail or recreate it. It's just a matter of putting your own sort of stamp on it really, and your interpretation, and just taking your time, putting a little bit of detail here and there, and it just makes all the difference. I have this free class for you if you're interested and want to know more about how I create shadows using complementary colours. It's free and the link is in the description below, so please check that out after you've watched the video if that interests you. This part of the portrait I'm focusing on achieving the overall value, chroma, temperature and edges, so it's getting a balance and making sure everything sort of flows and that, so your areas are not too dark or too light, so you're comparing one shade with the others, and taking a step back and having a look at it from a distance, taking the picture into another room, that's a good idea, or even taking a photograph on your phone and seeing it from a different light. It helps to bring out sort of areas that need work. I would suggest taking quite a few breaks as well. When you come back afresh, you see new things as well. So you sort of have 20 minutes or so, go and have a break and come back and then start again. And then that way you're always creating that fresh feel to it as you're doing these final details. Thank you so much for watching the video right till the end. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It would mean so much to me. This would help the channel to grow. Now with black, how I've done this, it applies to anything really. Black hair, black fur if you're doing animals like dog and wildlife. You know, you've got these subtle variations of greys, and it's really fascinating, surprising how many colours in black. If there's any questions at all, please leave a message in the comment section below this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, if you'd like to see any more of my work, please check out this video here. Take care, bye.